Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights, and Beyond. Today, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 20, Mud Bowl.
Saracen finally is compensated for his QB play. Waverly and Lyla shoot guns. Smash is freaked out, and Lyla is empowered to confront Street. Landry and Tyra begin their journey, and Coach plans a game in a cow field.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday morning, bright and early. It's Not Only Football, and today we're covering one of my favorite episodes, Mud Bowl. And Zach is on record, and I can't wait to pick this bone with Zach the entire episode. You are on record in many publications saying that Mud Bowl is one of your least favorite episodes of all time. What the man?
Well, I gotta say this. First of all, I'm on record saying a lot of things that I've gotten in trouble for. Apparently, Mud Bowl was my least favorite episode. Don't know when I said that, but I'm sure I did. Second of all, I apparently said that I hated my wife's character in Lost. Not true. I've gotten in a lot of trouble for it. All I said was, and I will say this, somehow when talking about it, I said, season 3, when she pops up, I'm like, you think we haven't noticed this like super hot female on the island the whole time? And she's just like, hey, I'm here. I would have noticed my wife had she been there, and I didn't buy the fact that she's just been lurking around the island and I'm not noticing this super hot chick.
Yeah.
But anyway, not that I'm a creeper, but back to Mud Bowl. The only reason it was my least favorite episode is because shooting it sucked.
Okay, so just to explain to everybody out there, like when you were doing these big rain scenes, and I think we talked about this in Wind Sprints actually, they will bring these things called condors. They're these huge cranes that hold lights up over us or hold shades to block out the sun so we're not shooting in direct sunlight. Or sometimes they carry a giant trough of water.
God forbid shoot in direct sunlight.
Well, you got to mess with the shadows.
No, I know.
Directors of photography hate that shit.
They hate it.
But then they'll just run hoses up these huge things, and then water troughs just over us, just like a giant, watering can. But we're the buds, huh? We're the little tiny flowers.
Rain, and this is why it's not even that. Like the cold rain at nighttime, because this was late in the season, so this would have been like February probably. We were shooting this.
Yeah, it was winter. Yeah,
and so you're just getting poured on. That sucks enough. We all had neoprene on underneath because we're babies. But this was an actual cow field. So when you're diving in the mud and getting mud on you're getting cow shit on your face, in your mouth, up your nose, and it was like.
How many cow pies did you eat? Over, under 4.5. Would you take the under or the over?
I would take the over.
Okay.
It was gross. It was just gross. It was super exciting. Like you go out there and you're a young actor. This is so cool. This is so fun. And then you're just like I have cow shit coming out of my eyeballs.
Yeah, 7 hours later, there is a lake in my lap. Like I'm just sitting on the sideline the whole time, and I've just got a pond. It's a big, the minnow that bit you on the nipple? Yeah, guess what? Probably could live in my lap during Mud Bowl. Well,
first of all, A, have we heard from anyone about any other minnow nipples? Because I think it's a thing. Nipple minnows. And B, was there a penis minnow?
No, it was on the outside of the pants.
Okay, cool.
Why would I have it inside my pants?
Well, I'm not saying you opened your fly and invited it in. I'm just saying that
you are so weird. Okay, you heard it here, folks.
For you.
Zach Gilford, very strange, and also loves to eat poop. This episode was written by Elizabeth Heldens. We've heard that name many times before, including Wind Sprints, which I just mentioned. Nevermind, and
she's got like a water fetish. The rain fetish?
Rain fetish? Loves all the rain?
I mean, it's dramatic.
Never mind, and I think we should have sex. She did all 3 of those episodes. This was her 4th episode she wrote for season 1, which is pretty incredible. And I got to say, she writes a mean Jason Street yelling scene. Like, there's one in this episode. There's one in Nevermind when I just scream at my mom for no reason. Like, there's lots of Jason screaming in Elizabeth Heldens' scripts.
I want to unpack that. We need to get Liz on here and be like, why was Jason so angry? And she'd be like, because he was a high school student who got paralyzed.
Yeah, super angsty for good reason. In this episode, do you know who directed this one?
Yeah, I do. David Boyd.
Yeah, this one was David Boyd. And for anybody out there who is not recognizing the name, he is an all-time legend director of photography. Oh. He worked on Firefly, on Deadwood, and then became a director himself after he left Friday Night Lights.
He was The Walking Dead.
Yeah, The Walking Dead, Queen of the South, and just recently Jason Katims' As We See It on Amazon, which is a very good show if you haven't seen it.
Well, he was also the producer-director on that.
Yeah, and everybody should go watch it.
I'm my God, he's amazing. He's one of my favorite human beings I've ever met.
Yeah, I've talked about it before. He's got this like shoulder length, curly, bouncy hair, and he just like when he comes on the set, like he bounds.
He kind of personifies, hey, we get to play make believe for a living. This is fun. And
Yeah,
you're like, you're right. This is fun. And anytime you're an asshole actor who's like, well, they called me here and I've been sitting around for a half hour. He's like, hey, so this is gonna be fun. He's the best. Let's get back to the show.
yeah. So we like to ask the question every single week. If this episode was not only football, what was it for you? Zach, do you know, or do you want me to go first?
I want Scott to start because before we started this episode, he told me he had two.
I do have two. The first, it's not only football, is a cheat. Because in this episode, it is football, but it's kids playing football because they want to, not for any other outside force. This whole idea of sliding around in the mud, like, it is just such a fun, like, kid thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see puddles, you want to go jump in them. You see, like this muddy, grassy field, and you want to go play football in it, in like a slip and slide. You know, it looks, and they're having a blast. And we'll get to it later in the episode, but everybody wants to play the game. The adults want to stop it, and the kids are like, no, man, we want to play. And so that's one of my It's Not Only Footballs. The other thing is people being real loud in places that they shouldn't necessarily be, or just being loud in general with each other, whether it's Smash and Waverly outside Fran's Burger Shop, which actually makes an appearance in this episode, which is awesome, or Tyra and Landry.
Not Dan's.
Not Dan's. Yeah, poor Dan. Got cut out of this one. But Tyra and Landry in the library, or Tim at the bank with Jackie. So my two, It's Not Only Football, is kids playing a sport because they want to, and people just being loud for no reason. What about you, Zach?
I don't know on this one, to be honest. It's a lot of things. It's not football. It's a lot of things. It's
You want to borrow one of mine?
Yeah, I think you spoke for both of us.
Okay, great. Moving on. Yeah. The opening of the episode is hilarious to me.
Is this when Big Rig wakes up next to Jackie?
Yeah,
this is what I wrote. Let's just smile at each other.
Let's just have Jackie creepily staring at Riggins, much as probably Mae Whitman would if she was standing in the doorway. I imagine she would be staring at Taylor the same way. And we miss you, Mae. We wish you were here today.
Miss you, Mae.
How do you feel about the whole Jackie Riggins thing?
I don't feel good about it.
It's questionable. Like I said, a questionable dalliance, right? Like Jackie knows that maybe this isn't the right thing to be doing, and it's also maybe not.
Our own. We're all on our own journeys, and
Yeah.
we need to figure things out and have some experiences.
But as Tim says when he shows up at the bank after picking Bo up from school after school was canceled, I'm 17, we're all good. Which I'm not sure Riggins
Did you research that?
is 17. I did research in Texas. That is
17 is the age of consent.
Legal age of consent.
Oh, I actually remember that because I was like a little worried about when I had to kiss Amy. And
Okay.
And I was like, this isn't even the age of consent in Texas.
It is. 17 is.
But she was 16.
The question is not whether 17 is the age of consent.
Enough about
The
me.
question is whether Riggins is actually 17, right?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. And we didn't know up to this point. But, I mean, that's kind of like the Riggins-Bo storyline.
Yeah.
I think Jackie realizes not healthy for her necessarily, maybe not healthy for her son necessarily. That's the opening scene. Mae Whitman staring at Taylor Kitsch. But the next thing, my favorite part of the opening is, guess what, buddy?
Oh, it's our big scene.
It's me and you, man.
This is super fun.
Look at us. Look at us.
I was watching it and I genuinely was like, oh, right.
Dude,
I remember that.
all I know is I'm looking at this scene where Street is now coaching you like on a regular basis, because in the last episode and changes, I start to coach you on the field, that overnight
Just
scene.
drunkenly on the field, throwing balls around.
But now, like, this is legit. We're serious about it.
You're my QB coach.
I've got you running footwork drills. Jason Street's like new wicked wheelchair. I was so excited. I don't know if you noticed.
Told me. I A, did not notice, and B, you told me about it before the episode, and I'm so excited to hear about your tricked out wheelchair.
Dude, it's like Panther blue. It's got the Dylan Panther P sewn onto the back. I've got like a little back pouch,
Is there
which
a
I used to hide my
story
sides in all
behind
the
that?
time. Is there a story behind it?
Like, I know you love to like under review, go to the script, blah blah blah. Was it a story point of like, and Jason gets this new Panther wheelchair? Or was it
No,
just like
it
something
was like they
that's-
found the money in the budget on the actual show to give me a dope ass wheelchair. which was kind of
I'll take
cool.
that.
The timing of it is a little strange because, like, my family is hard up for money. We're talking about the lawsuit a lot in this episode.
Well, they're trying to buy you off.
Yeah, but that wheelchair, I remember me personally, the day that Scott Reeder brought it to me and was like, hey, he was our props master, and he was like, hey, we got you a new chair. And he was so excited, and I was so excited, and I was in that chair for a long time, that Panther blue with the Dylan Panther P on the back. And like I said, I had pouches and everything that I could, like, tuck my sides into, man. I was moving on up.
You were pumped.
The glasses I didn't love so much. Everybody's glasses in this episode are really bad. Like
Glasses? You wear glasses?
Like sunglasses. Everybody has really bad sunglasses.
What was
in this episode.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
It was the
wasn't.
80s.
No, it wasn't. It was 2008.
It was the alts.
This is so strange.
Do you not watch Bluey?
I do, but
You haven't seen the 80s episode?
I didn't get Bluey from that.
Anytime we reference our haircuts or our style, I'm like, it was the alts. Anyway, moving on.
In that scene, though, I've got my sideburns are kicking, the glasses are kicking, and then I'm making you run yourself ragged. And then you insult Oprah? What's your problem with Oprah?
I'll tell you this. I think Matt Saracen is a close to infallible character. He's a good kid. He's a stand-up guy. But there is some language he uses. I use the R word.
Oh, yeah.
I do it often. And I'm like, what were you thinking? And I'm shocked that people let me use it. They're like, yeah, no, that's cool. I'm not escaping the blame. But, yeah, questioning Oprah? Like, who does Saracen think he is?
Yeah, I don't know. But Coach drives by. He sees a little something, a little foreshadowing as he's on his way into school. Coach shows up. There's television reporters everywhere. Buddy Garrity is labeling the entire stadium with Garrity Motors. And Coach is grumpy now. Coach is grumpy.
He ain't happy.
He goes into the office. He yells at Mac. What are you doing?
Mac's in there. I mean, let's talk about Mac. I mean, look, for all Mac's been through and all we've talked about with him, and now he's just like literally feet up on the coffee table, munching on whatever, watching TV in Coach's office. He's like, what? I thought I got to be here. It's like, no. And then Buddy comes in.
Buddy Garrity comes in with hair the size of his logo. I mean, Buddy Garrity's, he had a blowout at the beginning of this episode. He comes in, and you found $200 in cash in your locker.
For what?
Am I supposed to know?
Honestly, watching, I was like, was I supposed to throw the game?
Okay.
Was I just being rewarded?
No, you were just being rewarded. And here's the thing. Like, they kind of, in this episode, really underplayed the whole cash storyline. And we'll talk about it a little later, but there's an under review that would have explained everything. When Coach and Buddy were on the side of the road, and
Was it Buddy?
cut all of it. We'll get to it later.
Oh,
That's what we call a
suspense
tease.
is killing me.
That's what we call a tease. And just as my favorite part of that scene is when Buddy walks in and Coach goes, "That is the most fantastic logo I've ever seen, Buddy." It's just Kyle in that moment is fantastic. But then, boom.
The windows blow out. I was like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
And when I found out what happened, I was like, would that blow the windows out on the...
Really? Yeah, like a
that
chemical
seemed
explosion, a train crashed.
It wasn't a chemical, it was a train.
It's a train crashed. No, but then there was a tanker on the train that blew up, so there
But
was
if the windows blow out, wouldn't, like, some people be injured?
It's possible. But
You're
maybe
right,
we didn't,
it is possible.
Maybe we
It
didn't
is
see
possible.
it. It leads us to the parking lot. The principal's up on the car. He's like, guess what, guys?
Ugh.
School's canceled. Everybody celebrates. But then we start to realize,
What
wait
that
a minute.
means. We lose home field advantage.
Now, I'm throwing a challenge flag right now.
Yep.
Okay. For everybody out there listening, that's a big fan of Texas football. And if you're not a fan of Texas football, I want you to know that our show got a lot of things wrong when it comes to the
Texas
Dylan Panthers
football.
schedule, Texas football. And this is why it's not only football, because we did the football shit wrong. Usually, teams will play on neutral sites for playoff games in the first place. It is such a standard thing in Texas high school football. Neutral site games happen all the time. So it's just very interesting to me. Like, we're automatically assuming we're hosting a game. On top of that, we only had an 8-game regular season. Texas high school football, even in 2007, played 10-game regular seasons.
Oh, man, math.
To get to state, we only play 5 football games. It is 6 games to win the state championship. So we're missing 3 whole games, by the way. Dylan Panthers somehow win a state championship with 3 no contests in there somewhere. So we did a lot of things wrong on the football end, but for the sake of TV, good TV, we embark upon finding a place to play the game. And a lot of things happen in that parking lot. Julie comes up to you and hugs you.
She loves me.
Loves you so much.
She loves me so much.
In such a cheesy way.
It's not cheesy. It's young love.
It's cheesy. The whole Julie and Matt thing, like, how many times does she hug you and tell you how much she loves you this episode?
Because she thinks she's leaving. She thinks she's never going to see me again. Can you feel... Okay, close your eyes. Imagine into...
Everybody at home, close your eyes. Unless you're driving, leave your eyes open.
Imagine into... I've just booked a job in Toronto. You can relate to this.
An acting job?
Georgia and Ginny, yeah.
Okay, Ginny and Georgia.
Ginny.
Try again.
And the people... The women and the mothers and the daughters. And I'm never going to see Zach again. Maybe Zoom because it's 2023. But
why would I never see you again?
Because
I still have my eyes closed, and you don't have your eyes closed. I'm over this experience.
I was trying to ASMR you.
We have a very... Oh, no. We're moving on. We're moving on. You see Waverly and Smash. They have a little fight in the parking lot. Lyla and Waverly, after the little argument in the parking lot, they meet. And all of a sudden, Waverly and Lyla are like good friends now. They're both dating Dillon, Texas football players. And Waverly's like, we're both frustrated with our men's. What do we want to do?
With our men's?
With our men. What do we want to do?
We want to go shoot guns. I got to tell you, I'll be honest, I don't like guns. I don't like them. I'm not a fan.
But
I don't shoot them.
You like the shooting of the guns, huh?
I was into it.
I love the fact that the pastor, like her dad, he collects guns. This is the thing. We get a little bit of information about Waverly's family, and they're out there just, they're blowing off some steam, shooting some guns.
Shooting some guns. Getting to know each other. You know what I mean? I kind of love, like, you take something that I think typically you would be like, oh, that's a guy thing, let's go shoot guns. And you have, like, 2 young women doing it, and they're having a heart-to-heart. I mean, they're really talking life.
They are, yeah. I mean, Waverly is letting Lyla know, hey, value yourself here.
Yeah.
Like, you keep on calling Jason, who's not responding to you, and that's the problem. The problem is what he's doing, but the problem is you, like, just constantly calling him and showing up for him. Like, take a stand for yourself. And Lyla does that later in the episode with a very, very yelly scene between Jason and Lyla.
Yeah, you guys are letting out steam. I think one of my notes was, yes, throw the water in his face.
What I love about this show is how honest and real and grounded it is. But in this episode in particular, especially in this scene, we have 2 characters just screaming at each other. And I lacked any sense of nuance in this screen and this scene. And maybe...
But do high school kids have nuance?
Yeah, maybe they don't.
They don't.
Maybe they don't. But I did love Minka in this scene.
I loved you as well.
Oh, thanks, man.
I need to tell you. I love this scene.
She lists all the things. She's like, if you want to fix a problem, do it yourself. If you want a glass of water, next time, say please. And then she storms out of the room. She's so good in the scene. She's so very good in that scene. So she was redeeming for me. I'm glad you enjoyed the scene. I bet you are listening, audience.
No, I know. I know it's hard to separate yourself from the characters you're playing. I know a lot of us, it's hard when you feel like your character's not likable. And that's in any project. However, none of us are likable all the time. We're all people. Like, I'm an asshole some of the time. I'm going to say like 3% of the time.
What comes to mind when you picture the perfect roommate? One who comes when you call him? One who doesn't forget to lock the doors? One who doesn't steal your milk just a little bit at a time, hoping you won't notice? Well, at Apartments.com, we understand that when it comes to roommates, a pet can be your best bet. They're easygoing, they eat what you serve them, mostly, and never clog the toilet. That's why we have the most pet-friendly rental listings on the internet. And with instant alerts, you'll know the moment your perfect pet-friendly place becomes available. So when you need a place that's pet-friendly and human-tolerant, check out Apartments.com, the place to find your pet-friendly place.
There is one thing that all great teams, coaches, players, and even podcasters have in common, and that is preparation. Planning is key in everyday life, too, and a great way to be prepared for the unexpected is to join Air Medcare Network, America's largest air ambulance membership network. Air Medcare Network providers operate state-of-the-art helicopters capable of responding to critically ill or injured patients in need of emergency medical transport. But when you're an AMCN member, you won't see a bill for your flight only when flown by one of their providers. That's right. You pay nothing. Zero. Zilch. Join Air Medcare Network's more than 3 million members. It's just $99 per year. And right now, our listeners get up to an $80 MasterCard or Amazon e-gift card when they join and use offer code FNL. Make sure the Air Medcare Network team is protecting your family and your finances. Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/FNL today. That's airmedcarenetwork.com/FNL.
Another thing that happens in the parking lot, and you alluded to this, the Smash and Waverly discussion. He doesn't quite know how to handle what is happening with Waverly. And after Lyla and Waverly go and shoot guns, Smash sees them being buddy-buddy. And he goes up to Lyla and says, hey, just do me a favor, keep an eye out for her. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you should be careful. She's a good shot, And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? And she's like, we went out shooting yesterday. And he's like, that is not a good idea. And Lyla's like, Smash, you haven't said 2 words to me since we started high school together. And now you're all of a sudden concerned because I'm hanging out with Waverly. And then he lets the cat out of the bag and tells Lyla, look, she's bipolar. She's off her meds. Please be careful. And you see Smash trying to figure out how to navigate this situation, but he's not allowed to talk to anybody. And Lyla kind of, tells Waverly, hey, maybe you should go talk to Tammy. She's really good to talk to. And then,
it doesn't go well.
Waverly shows up at Fran's, as we've talked about Fran's and Dan's before. She shows up at the burger shop, and this is just another scene where people are being very, very loud within earshot of plenty of people. They don't want to hear a conversation. But
I actually want to bring this up. So I know as adults, and we don't like to have drama in front of public. I feel like as kids, A, we're not aware as much, and B, we kind of want everyone to know there's some stuff going on, and this person's the bad person.
I know, but when one of the characters has been so secretive about nobody knowing that she has, fair. That she is bipolar, she screams it through the open door into the restaurant. Now, I can see through her anger, and Asha is so good in the scene, through her anger, she is going full bore, and she is unapologetic, and she doesn't care who hears, I guess, at this point, because she's so furious with Smash. But Smash immediately yells the words, I love you! And then they go through this whole scene. Well, under review, there's a whole section prior to that, before he says, I love you. They just cut the whole conversation, so it's kind of jarring. She's like, you told Lyla Garrity I'm bipolar, and he goes, I love you. And it's like they cut out all the dialogue before that, but it lands.
They're just getting down to business,
and it worked. They got down to business, and they talk about it. The most poignant moment in that scene, though, is after Smash says, look, I'm not allowed to talk to anybody about it. I've never dealt with anything like this, and I have to say, Waverly, it's not fair. Why don't you talk to my mom? Why don't you talk to somebody, please? And she refuses, and she pushes him away, and she goes to walk away from him, but she slows to a stop, and then he hugs her, when her back is facing towards him. And I've had that moment in my life where you don't know where to go, and you just want somebody to comfort you, and you don't want to face them, but the fact that they're there for you like that, it's such a poignant moment in that scene when he's hugging her from behind, and she's collapsing, but not into him, but away from him, but he still has a hold of her. And he's like, I'm here for you. No matter if you're trying to push me away, I'm here for you, which is something we haven't really seen from Smash. No. And it was a really cool
It's been all Smash,
moment.
trying to figure out Smash. And I don't mean that even in a selfish way.
Yeah.
But it's the first time you've seen him really. And because he's always thought, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my mother. I'm doing this for me. And it's something where it's it's just I care about this person. It's not about me providing for them. It's about me being there for them emotionally. And you're exactly right. It's a new shade we've seen from him.
And this a lot of these storylines have bookends. You see Street in the beginning coaching Saracen, and then Mud Bowl happens, and you see Street and Coach talk after Mud Bowl is over. You see Julie tell you in the parking lot as school is getting canceled how much she loves you.
She loves
and
me
then
a lot.
after the game is over, she tackles you to the ground, and she says, "No matter what happens, I'll always love you." And like the cheesiest, most worst ADR, not her fault.
Not her fault.
ADR,
Was that ADR?
It had to have been ADR.
I
A
gotta
lot
go
of
back
those
and watch
lines
it.
are ADR. ADR, for people that are listening that, don't know the ins and outs or the behind the scenes stuff. ADR is when we didn't get good sound when we were actually filming a scene, and we have to go into a booth and lip sync to ourselves talking. And poor Amy had to do the emotion of that scene, like falling onto the ground with you while saying the words.
It's the worst. It's
No,
you either need to redo an emotional scene with yourself. There's also sometimes they'll say, "Can you make kissing noises?" Which I've learned, and any actors out there, I say no. You can get someone else to do that. Grunts.
Wait. You have to ADR kissing noises?
You never had to do that?
All the time.
Noises.
Why do you think our kisses are so thunderous in this show? That's me in the booth and Minka in the booth,
Yeah, no.
amping up the kissing sounds.
I say no.
No?
Or grunts. They're like, "Oh, we need some efforts." I'm like, because here's the deal. There are plenty of actors who their job is going and making these noises. And I'm like, you pay them to do it. I'm not going to sit here and make noises like I'm taking a dump in the booth.
Yeah, but that is those actors that are paid to do looping sessions, usually in groups of 6 to 8, different voices, different vocal ranges, different different qualities to their voices. They do crowd stuff and everything. If it's something that my character is doing, I want it to be my voice. You and I differ on this.
They can make the grunts and the kissing noises.
If they need me to do a constipated
So,
grunt, I would rather do that. I don't want
me.
Bob off the street making a constipated grunt for me.
With my hand.
You're so weird with all this kissing stuff. You have been consistently
I
weird.
clearly have some kissing issues.
Season long. We are moving off of this.
Oh, yes, please. I feel like I'm out of myself too much.
The bookend for Smash and Waverly is really cool. Very, very subtle. But you see Waverly talking to Mama Smash. Yeah. And you know that she has an outlet, someone she can talk to, because she can't talk to her own father. And, they get to the point where it seems like she has a healthy outlet, someone to talk to, therapy in some kind of way, which I thought was really important. One relationship that is focused on in that initial parking lot scene where they're canceling school is Landry and Tyra. Ugh. And Julie and Matt, they're all standing there. And Landry walks up to Tyra and asks how she's doing. Her response is then, yeah, I'm going to go. He's like, where's she going? Julie's like, the library. He's like, oh, the library.
This was actually one of my favorite lines I've ever said. I don't know if I improv'd it or if it was written. I was like, oh, you got to return some books.
You got to return. It's improv. I checked for you.
I'm so proud
already.
of myself.
Yeah.
Because I saw that scene. I was like, oh, I love that. I loved it. And then, then when they're in the library, and he says, who taught Tim Riggins how to read in 3 days or 2 days or or whatever it was.
Yeah, the Tyra Landry stuff, I forgot how much work and effort the show put into pairing those two together. And the only reason it works is because you have two caliber of actors like Annie and like Jesse. This episode has so many great scenes. You just spoke about the scene in the library where she's like, I already have a tutor. And he's like, oh, yeah? Well, is your tutor, scoring 1,600 on the SAT? Did your tutor teach Tim Riggins how to read in 3 days? You need the A team of tutors. And Mr. T is standing right here, which stands for Tyra's tutoring expert. and it's just, it's something so charming about the two of these characters getting together. He's like, what are you working on? She's like, algebra, He's like, oh, how's that going for you? She's like, I think I want to get in a time machine and go back and shoot whoever started algebra. And he's like, well, that's ironic.
Yeah, because you couldn't have made a time machine without algebra.
Without algebra. And she relents. And she's like, yeah, all right, let's do some tutoring. They go to the burger shop, doing some tutoring stuff. And there's just more of this really great back and forth between the two of them. They're doing square roots, they're doing all this stuff.
Love a square root?
And then Tyra makes a mistake. She says to Landry Clark, of all people, it's a date.
Oh, yeah. No,
Now, she probably didn't mean it the way that Landry took it.
I
but
tried to explain that to her. Or to him. Saracen tried to explain it to Landry.
The look on his face in that scene after she says date, and he's just like, his eyes are so intense. It's crazy. And then we see you and him in the barbershop where you are.
Well, yes. I actually, it's so funny. That scene in the barbershop, of everything in this episode, is one of the things I remember filming more than anything. And it is because my aunt and cousin were visiting me and they were there. But it was one of those where you're like, we're just in this like random ass barbershop, and that's a real ass barber who were like, unfortunately saying, can you cut his hair, but like real, like fake? Because we're going to have to do takes. And if you just cut his hair, like we're not going to be able to cut it again. He's like, I got clippers here. What do you want me to do?
Sure. Landry in that scene says, I'm tired of being your supporting actor. I'm ready to be a leading man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, what does he say? Like, unveil myself tonight?
As he should.
And you're like, yeah. He's like, no, this is a very important night for us. And you kill me all episode long. You're like, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna square some numbers. You're gonna try and solve a quadratic equation, And but no, Landry is heck bent on proclaiming his love.
Heck bent.
Heck bent. That's what I said.
And then it couldn't go more south.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about something that can be triggering, just as a warning,
100%.
Of what happens with Tyra at the end of this episode. There is an attempted sexual assault. I mean, there is an assault that happens, and there's all this charm of this storyline leading up, but Friday Night Lights has this tendency to always have this air of like, something's going to crumble at some point. Landry's car breaks down. Tyra has gone to the burger shop where they're supposed to have their tutor date, and Landry never shows up. And she's by herself, and you get this air as she's getting up to leave of danger. And you see her, and you and I can't understand this, and I'll never understand this, of constantly checking your surroundings. As quick as it is, you see that in Annie's eyes as she's acting out this scene before she goes to leave. Making sure that you're safe and that, you have a way to leave. And she leaves, and this man tracks her down in the parking lot. But it's just so heartbreaking.
No, that scene sucked. Like, it was hard to watch because it felt so like, oh, this could happen. This does happen. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, I mean, there's really nothing to say except it was hard and it sucks, which are like very like, they don't even give it the gravity that deserves.
But they intercut it with the football game, and it's happening.
I know. I had
the elation of the football game, and this heartbreaking, incredibly honest and dangerous situation that Tyra is in, defending herself, and they're cutting them back and forth. And as a viewer, I was feeling all of it.
Yeah.
Like, I got goosebumps when the winning touchdown is scored, and I'm like,
yeah, and then you're back in the
joy.
Truck with Tyra, and you're like, holy shit, why do I care about a touchdown? This is happening.
And then I'm like tearing up in sorrow for Tyra, and it's just one of the more interesting and somewhat special editing cuts that this show has ever had.
What we talked about so much in the show is we're not just gonna like tell the nice story. We're gonna tell the way things really are. And while this young woman is going through this horrific experience, the rest of the town is like elated in joy and excitement of a football game. And I'm not even faulting them because it's not like they could all be at the Alamo Freeze parking lot, but it's like there is more to this world than high school football.
Yeah.
And there's things going on.
Well, I think it's the perfect encapsulation of what Tyra has been going through the whole time.
Yeah.
As she has felt outside of this town. She has goals outside of this town. Her goal is not to be at that playoff game with everyone else celebrating the achievements of the football team.
Her goal is to be studying algebra.
And getting herself into college and doing all of those things. And it all comes to a head here. And she's ultimately proven right. Like, this town has not been for her. I mean, been there for her ever. But Landry does arrive, and they sit in silence and sharing an incredibly difficult moment between the two of them that sets the tone for the continuation of their relationship into season 2. It's honest, it's brutal, it's awful. Tyra defends herself, but horrific. I don't want to make it seem like that is not the most important thing in the episode. I do think that her storyline, the culmination of it there, is the most important thing that happens in the episode. But we do have the Mud Bowl itself that we do have to talk about. Coach's journey, figuring out where to play this game, what he puts the team through, how they ultimately are victorious. In the opening scene, of course, when the windows blow up, nobody gets hurt. Somehow,
thank goodness,
they end up going to visit a quote-unquote neutral site that the Brant Vikings...
who are they? Who's the Brant team?
The Brant Vikings are based upon the Bryan, Texas Viking football program.
They sound stupid.
They go to this beautiful, this gorgeous...
I was like, what is this, Texas A&M?
No, that was in Round Rock. That's the Round Rock Industrial Complex where they go to check out that neutral site, quote-unquote. And Coach immediately knows, no, I saw the Vikings logo back there in that weight room. You want me to think that y'all don't come here all the time? You probably scrimmage here. You guys are so comfortable here.
Know the ins and outs.
Trying to take my home field advantage. It's not going to happen. Meanwhile, he gets the kids over to an elementary school. There's like 6-year-olds running all over the place.
I was like, what is going on? Why is Matt Saracen face masking a 6-year-old? You clock that?
Yeah, I did.
I just grabbed this kid by the face mask and was like, get out of here.
Yeah, well, all the players are upset. They're all complaining. They're whining. They're moaning. They're like, we're the Dillon Panthers. What are we doing here? Why are we practicing at this elementary school?
Panthers. It's not only football. Friday Night Lights and Beyond is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Now, most of y'all listening right now are probably multitasking. Yeah. While you're listening to me, us, whoever talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or grocery shopping, or child rearing. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now, and that is getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and even more. So just like your favorite podcast, probably this one, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
This is one scene where Coach does bring up the cash. He tells them all,
oh, yeah, he's like, does anyone else
anything.
get cash? And everyone's like, nope. And I'm like, really? Just Saracen? Just that guy?
Well, no one's answering the question, right? But what I love in that scene is Coach goes, look, y'all are acting like prima donnas. Y'all are acting like you've won something. Y'all are acting like you deserve something. This is where we have to practice, and this is where we will practice. No complaining. You haven't won anything yet. Now, Saracen got some money in an envelope. Anybody else? And nobody says yes. And he's like, nobody. Nobody else got money? Nobody? Well, Smash, that must really piss you off. And you see this smirk on Gaius' face. That line delivery is so... Kyle was on one this episode, man. He was so good in this episode. I laughed out loud numerous times with Kyle's line deliveries in this episode, and that was one of them.
Well, this is one of those great episodes where he doesn't do any bad coaching.
Yeah. But then he finds out from Buddy and the mayor who show up at the elementary school, and they're like, we can't play at home. You know, so this starts the journey of Buddy and Kyle trying to find a place to go They're driving back to Dylan.
Sure enough, while
Buddy's got to take
taking
a leak.
piss on the side of the road. Coach is like, wait, one man's urinal is another man's football field.
Yeah, is another man's cow pasture / football field. Now,
and he takes Connie out, he takes Tammy out there, and he's like, I got this idea. It's like very Field of Dreams. I mean, clearly that's what we're going for here.
It is very Field of Dreams.
She's not into it, and then she is.
You know, there's a huge section of that scene where Coach, I've got to under review, Coach and Buddy in that scene, and this is where, you know, it was cut, but this is where the Cash storyline kind of, like, they cut the whole Cash storyline out of this episode almost. Like, it kind of goes away by now.
Yeah.
But I think in overtime I want to get into, like, what happens in the Cash storyline. But in this scene, he's grilling Buddy, actually, about all the cash. And when they're at the elementary school, there's a scene where he's got Tim Riggin sitting in a child's chair, like a child's chair, and he's like, you've never received money. Not for rushing for 100 yards. Not for catching 10 balls.
Not for
touchdowns, key
sober.
blocks. And he's like, no, sir.
See, that sounds exactly like your Saracen imitation.
And then you scroll, and then the camera moves out from there, and all the players are sitting in children's chairs in an elementary school hallway with like a reading caterpillar over the top of them. And I wish that scene would have made it. But instead of that, y'all go to the hardware store, you find out you're going to build the field. You're asking, what are we doing here, Coach? He's like, we're going to build a football field, Saracen. Stop asking questions.
Stop asking questions.
But my favorite scene in all of this is when Coach takes Tammy out to the field. They've got all those live cows with them. And it's just something so lovely between the two of them in this scene. And a lot of it is improv, not in the script at all. There's a lot more words that Kyle drops. There's a lot of words that Tammy decides, that Connie decides not to say. But my favorite moment is there's a cow that moves toward her, and Connie starts laughing and walking away from the cow. I'm pretty sure that wasn't supposed to make the episode, but they chose to keep it in the edit.
Yeah, those are the gold.
Yeah, it's just so, like, there's a scene a couple of episodes ago where Coach is walking up to Riggins' front door, and he steps in dog shit, and he, like, looks down at his shoe, and he's, like, wiping his foot off on the sidewalk. Not very many people noticed that, but I did, and they kept it in. I mean, every other show would be like, what just happened? Did he just step in dog shit? Cut it. Cut. Friday Night Lights embraces that stuff. So when the cow moved towards Connie, it's just wonderful. But then he's like, close your eyes. And he explains, like, you know, imagine being a kid and just playing the game. And then he's like, he leaves her, and she's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to get a blanket. And it's just like this lovely moment. Like
I'm not even being a cynic. I was like, so you're just gonna sit in the cow field?
Oh, come on.
I don't want to sit in the cow field. There's cow shit everywhere. I thought it was cute, but I was like, what are you gonna do? Just sit around and sniff cow poop?
No, they're just gonna spend some time together
in the cow field.
Yeah. See, I loved it.
I loved
the
it.
idea of it.
I'm
a romantic, you're a cynic, and that's why we work together so well.
Fine.
A quick 5 on Mud Bowl. We get there, and everybody's set everything up, and we love it. There's a radio announcer that is talking about this reminds him of Woodstock. He wouldn't be surprised if Jimi Hendrix walks out and does the national anthem. That guy, his name is Ed Clements, and he played a character named Lanny Albright for our entire series. You hear his voice all the time as one of the announcers for the Dillon Panthers, but that's the only time you see him on camera. And he's so good in that moment. He was actually a sports radio announcer.
How many announcers do we have? What happened to Sammy Mead?
We have 3 of them. We have
Jesus.
we have 3 of them. Sammy Mead is the radio guy. These 2 guys are the play-by-play and color analysts for the Dillon Panthers. The man that played that role, Ed Clements, was a sports radio broadcaster in Midland, Texas for 10 years before he ever came to Austin. And we found him and we put him to work on our show. And he is so awesome in that moment. The game plays out much differently in the script. I was shocked how many things were different in the script on the game. But the onside kick, the initial touchdown, the game is getting muddier and muddier. There's missed field goals. But then, right in the 2-minute drive before the half, Street, Saracen, have a little moment. They've been working together.
Finally step up.
Right? I tell you to stay light on your feet. Stand tall. Stand tall. That's the only way you get the ball over the line. You do a little Tim Tebow action, falling back, jump past to smash, score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion. It's 8-8 at the half.
Woo!
And then the final drive of the game, still 8-8.
Saracen for the win.
Saracen for the win. I don't know if what Jason Street had done with Saracen about, all the footwork I did in the first scene with you.
You can take all the credit.
But I'm going to take all the credit.
All the credit.
And I'll who else sees it?
I'll tell you this. Coach Taylor didn't do any work with me. He was too busy trying to figure out who's getting cash. Trying to find a cow field to play a game in.
But Coach on the sideline right before that last drive of the game says to everyone, blood, sweat, and tears, leave it all out on this field. This is our dirt. This is our mud. Clear house, full hearts, can't lose. And it is like, goosebumps. I was fired up because we used to say leave it on the field when I played high school football. And I remember that feeling of like being so exhausted you couldn't get off the field after a game because you had literally gave everything for the player next to you. And he's great. I forgot Lyla was a cheerleader still. She's there cheering.
She is committed.
I was like, wow, this is a shock.
We had a whole episode about her cheerleading competition. You think where she quit and came back?
Yeah.
You think she's going to quit again?
I know. She's just committed.
No.
And then we talked about all the post-game stuff already, except for the fact that Coach walks up to Jason Street and looks at him and says, you ever think about coaching?
Oh, well.
And it ends on my smile.
We got a
How about
state
that?
championship coming up. We're going to need someone to tell me to be light on my feet.
Maybe Jason hopefully can be less friggin' angsty. There's a whole scene, though, of the work that Jason Street did with Matt Saracen here. And you know what? Everybody, listening audience, you're in for a treat.
Is this overtime or is this?
A prior unreleased scene. And we're going to read it for you now. It's on page 23 of the script.
Did we film this?
Street is drilling Saracen on audibles. I don't think we did. I don't think we even filmed it. I think we only filmed the one that we did.
Okay,
I'm drilling you on audibles. There's like trash cans and boxes and stuff set up as your receivers.
Yeah, according to the script, it's various objects.
Yeah. You will call a play. I call the defense, and then you have to audible at the line. And I say, you're calling a post on 3rd and 2? Never mind. You got 4-3, split cover, and the corner's off the X. What are you going to do?
Blue 33, blue 33. Hut, hut.
And you throw a ball at a trash can, just like you throw it through the tire.
I nail
hoop.
the trash can.
You do. You nail it.
That's good, right?
Yeah, no, wrong.
Wait, you said the corner's off the X.
Yeah, but you audibled left and you threw right. X isn't looking for the ball. You just got picked.
Oh, wait. Is X the trash can or the... I'm confused.
Oh, my God, Matt. Odd is right. Even's left. It's not that hard.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm not you, all right? It doesn't come naturally to me.
Bull crap. There's no such thing as a natural. Just an excuse for lazy people not to work hard.
Jesus, dude. I'm trying. Okay?
I told you I'm angsty. Jason's angsty.
Jesus. I'm like, whoa, it's for kid. I'm trying, okay? You think I don't know it was supposed to be you instead of me there on Friday? I wish it was you. That was a bad accent, but we'll deal with it.
Yeah, you need to work on your Saracen impression.
It's been a while.
Don't you get it, dumbass? You are QB1. You got 10 guys, hell, the whole damn team, all these people depending on you, and they're going to listen to everything you say, and they're going to do anything you tell them to. And you're an idiot if you're scared of that, because let me tell you, it's not a better feeling in the world. Trust me.
Stage directions. Okay, that's a little window into how effective Jason Street is feeling in his life right now.
Ineffective. How ineffective I'm feeling.
Oh, how ineffective.
Ineffective. God, Saracen, you can't get it right.
Saracen just looks at him.
I kind of really...
Cut to sandwich shop.
Okay, now, you are a big believer in cut the shit, cut that scene.
It's fine.
I wish this scene would have been in there, man. It explains so much. The angst that Jason's feeling, all that stuff.
But we see it all. We don't need to explain it. This is a misquote that I've always loved.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, maybe it's Shakespeare, maybe it's someone else. Treat your audience like kings and poets, and they will respond in kind. And just don't speak down to them. Don't over-explain. They get it. Like, your audience is smart enough. Like, we saw you get mad at Lyla while you're on the couch. We've seen everything you're going through. It's like,
sure,
I don't need you to spell it out for me.
But we can have Julie tell Saracen how much she loves him 10 times.
Well, we've talked about how...
We could have taken 6 of those out and done this scene, and we would have been good. Moving on to overtime. All right, we're moving on. Overtime. Do you have any overtimes? Anything you'd like to talk about?
No, just, I think poor Amy, poor Julie, she really was sad that she thought she was going to move away, and she loved Matt, and she wanted to tell him every chance possible.
Okay. We talked
And I
about
thought
that a
was
lot,
sweet.
but we still...
Well, you're really upset about it.
Just like the show, we had to make sure we included it at extra time and overtime. For me, the thing that stood out, and we've mentioned it a couple of times, was this show has a habit of just like starting a storyline that seems like it's going to be huge and then just letting it peter out and like kind of like dissipate and disappear. And that happens to the lawsuit in this episode. You know, I just felt like the stakes were higher in Jason's life outside of this lawsuit. And you felt that. Quad rugby, the engagement to Lyla, you know, recovering from his injury, moving home, all of these things. And they threw, it felt like maybe the show thought it was one too many things. And I don't know, like me watching the show, it just kind of didn't feel like it had a lot of oomph.
I think, if I may,
You
unless
may.
I'm cutting you off.
You may.
I think Street was such an amazing character, and they were trying. You know, it's kind of that thing Pete said with the movie. It was like, oh, I don't want to just tell the story of this team. I want to tell a story about this guy and that guy and that guy. And I think with a lot of characters, if they're not involved with the team, those stories are interesting, but it's hard to find the ways to make them involved because they're still, even though we're not just telling the story of the team, it's kind of it's the thing that connects everyone to everyone. And once you become a satellite, it's like, okay, what's a storyline, a lawsuit that keeps you tied to it? Oh, and I think that's why it was like, you know, I think it's a natural storyline, but also one where you're like, oh, that's typical. Like, let's make him a coach. And I think they fought making you a coach. And I wonder if there's a bit of like, we love Street. We want to keep him around. We want to keep him as part of this team. Like, the only natural way is like the thing we've been fighting, which is like, well, he got paralyzed, but now he's a coach. And so it's like, we have to do it because we want Street
That's
around.
so interesting, actually, because, yeah, you create this storyline that makes him adversarial to the football team, but do you do it out of resistance to bringing him back into the fold and then ultimately just surrender to it? That's a really interesting way to look at it because I think maybe that's kind of what happens, but then the payoff is huge when I think Jason starts coaching with the team. I don't know. They tried to raise the stakes. They tried to let you know, like, you know, in the scene where he's screaming at Lyla, he's saying, my parents are almost splitting up. But you never saw any of them fighting about it. So that fell flat for me. They're going to lose their house, but you never heard anything like that until this moment, right? And then in the scene, I know they give like Jason a big heroic thing where he's like, okay, I'm not doing this. We're not trying to sue them to set ourselves up for life. You know, let's just get rid of this whole thing. I'm going to write a number down that we're happy with. Is this good, Mom? Is this good? And I did love that resolution.
Do you know what the number was?
Nope. Actually, no, I did. I wrote $14,000.
$14,000?
That's what I wrote. That got us out of the hole.
Is that based on anything?
On all the home repairs. 14 is my lucky number, so I just wrote 14 and a bunch of zeros.
Oh man, you guys are fucked.
I lowballed
Under?
it. I lowballed it.
God.
No, it's all the home additions and everything, and that's what I thought we were aiming for. Whatever it was. All right, but anyway, long story short, it's just like
Street screwed over
that
his
storyline,
family.
just like the Cash storyline in this episode. Like some things just fall to the floor. I mean, I talked about the scene with the kindergarten class. I talked about Buddy on the side of the road and Coach just grilling him. But I think ultimately they were like, this isn't as big a deal as we thought it was going to be when we hatched the idea in the writer's room. And once we got there on the day and we started shooting all these other awesome scenes.
And we have all this. Well, it's not so much that they're awesome scenes. It's like the thrust of the show. It has nothing to do with the quality of the scenes.
Oh, I thought we were going to get out of this episode without you saying the word thrust.
Didn't you use it first?
No.
Did I just thrust it in there?
You did. We have one question from the press box before we get out of here.
Oh, I'm so curious which one it is.
Anna loves working out.
So do I, Anna. I worked out today. I worked out with my wife. I worked out on my own.
Worked out multiple times today.
Not to brag. I've got on my Apple Watch 92 minutes of exercise today.
Anna loves working out. Asked over on the Apple Podcast rate and review section, does Coach Taylor have a job besides being the football coach? He seems to always be at the school, even the episodes outside of the season, but a job is never mentioned. The answer to this question is interesting. We never actually shoot episodes of Friday Night Lights outside of the football season, for the most part. There's always something happening as far as football seasons go. We skip the spring and summer. So when we start season 2, we're going to be coming back to school for the next year, for Riggins' third junior year of high school.
Third junior year.
But in high school, my head coach, and we didn't talk about this in the Mac McGill episode, but Mac McGill was a driver's ed instructor.
We mentioned that.
When coach goes in, my high school football coach was a driver's ed instructor. Our defensive line coach was the AP physics instructor. So, like, football coaches in some states have to have a teaching job.
So is that why you would skip algebra to go to physics, because your coach was the teacher of physics and you didn't want to let your coach down?
Coach Brown, rest in peace. I love that man so much. Yeah, you know, in a lot of states, coaches have to have a teaching job at the school. It is required to be a football coach, but in the state of California and the state of Texas, you do not have to be. You can just be the coach.
I think that's fine.
And Coach Taylor, I believe, is just the coach.
Well, he's probably making a pretty penny just being just the coach.
Yeah, I would think so. That is going to do it for Mud Bowl. How do you feel?
I feel good about it. I feel a little dirty.
Do you like the episode now?
I love the episode. I just hate it. It was just like having cow shit up my nose and in my eyes wasn't the most fun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't want to get cow pink eye, but, you know, that is what it is.
I will say this. I actually have one really sweet memory about this episode just to like...
this is your overtime.
This is my overtime. My dog Pippin, rest in peace, who I adopted season 1 of Friday Night Lights. I'm tearing up right now. Was a 15-year-old pup. Was with me through everything, having my kids. She was on the sidelines, and we got to the point where it was such a family with our extras that everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew Pippin. And so during Mud Bowl, and you never see her, but there's an extra on the sideline holding Pippin because it was like, we're just in a cow field. She can just hang out. And so while I was filming, like, Pippin was there. In between scenes, I would get her, and she'd come be with the football team. And so actually, besides the cow shit in my eyes, it was a very sweet episode because I had my puppy with me.
I love it. You're on record now.
I'm on record.
You love this episode.
I love Mud Bowl.
Pippin was my roommate, too, for a couple of years. I love
true.
that dog so much.
And your bunnies.
Thank you, everybody out there, for listening to another episode of It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights, and Beyond. If we missed anything that you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the rate and review section over on Apple Podcasts or in the comments section over on YouTube. We have a couple of episodes left until the end of season 1. We have some really fun interviews coming up. We can't wait to share all of that with you. Make sure you subscribe at all of those places. Smash the like button at all of those spaces. And let us know if you have questions for us in the future, like I said, in the rate and review and comments section. We had such a blast talking about Mud Bowl with you. Next week, we will be looking into episode 21 of season 1 of Friday Night Lights. It is so rapidly approaching state. We can't wait, and we hope you can't either. For myself, Scott Porter.
And I'm Zach Gilford.
We say clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Cow
Can't
poop.
lose. That
Cow
was May
poop.
from afar.
Cow poop.